Hi, I'm Dave Barnes.
And I'm John McLaughlin.
And welcome to Dadville.
Dadville is a podcast where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of awesome dadding.
It's funny thoughts and deep talks.
So please, enjoy your time here in Dadville and enjoy this episode with...
Dude Dad. John.
Dave?
We both are coming
We
in.
are unsure.
Yeah. So I'm just going to make a general statement. I think it's going to encourage you.
Oh, okay.
Your yard is looking nice.
Oh.
Okay. How often are you sort of mowing to get a yard looking that good?
Well, I kind of gauge my mowing schedule with the phases of the moon, as you might expect.
Of course, I see it in the way that the lines are so tight.
They're lunar.
And I bet they're lunar lines, which is now our instrumental funk band. I bet to get a yard that tight, you need some high-performance tools. Am I right?
Oh, exactly. You're exactly right, Dave.
Yep.
Which is why I only trust Manscaped for all my personal mowing
Look,
needs.
I see what you did.
I mean.
I see what you did there. Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package.
Yep.
This ultimate package includes the Lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah.
You heard that right.
4.
Not the 3, not the 3.5,
We're
not
at
the
the
3.9. 4.0.
That's exactly right. One better than the 3.0.
That's right.
I'd like to say.
Yeah.
Inside this package, Dave, let me tell you what you'll find.
Here we go.
You're going to find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, as you just said, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. You got to get in there, guys.
Yep.
The Crop Preserver deodorant.
Love that.
I wear it every day.
Yep.
Crop Reviver toner.
Okay.
Performance boxer briefs. And a travel bag to hold all your goodies.
And we have a lot of goodies, John. The Lawnmower 4.0 has how many RPMs do you think, if you guess? Just what's a normal amount?
It's 2,000?
7,000. 7,000 RPM motor, yep. A new multifunction on-off switch that engages a travel lock and gives you the ability to turn the 4,000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave.
And I need that.
Did I mention this trimmer is waterproof too?
What?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The power and the light?
Yeah. Peter Gabriel would be so excited. Get this. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system.
Man, if I didn't know better, I would use that in my backyard.
But don't do that.
But I want to.
Don't.
I want
But listeners, please get 20% off plus free shipping with the code DADVILLE at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code DADVILLE at manscaped.com.
You've been through enough this summer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody out there.
We all have.
Treat yourself with the best tools for the job from Manscaped. So folks, this is a big Dadville right here because John,
I feel like this is a guest that is like as bullseye of a guest for Dadville as we could possibly hope for.
You know what I was gonna say is he's the most dad we've had.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just Dr. Seuss for a second?
Yeah, it was.
Taylor Calmus coming in hot with Dude Dad, which is just you're literally dadding 1,000 in your life. And so this is really fun because this is where like the Venn diagram of our podcast and what you do is the exact middle. They are meeting perfectly in the middle. And so for people listening, I'm just going to give you the scoop. Okay. Call me Baskin Robbins because I'm gonna give you the scoop. We're going to leave that in there. Okay. So Taylor is better known better
best
noon
at noon. Around noon.
As Dude Dad, a Colorado-based video creator who makes comedic comments, but really more content. Have I been drinking? Are we sure that I haven't? Do I need to do a sobriety test?
Do you need to drink some
all
coffee?
About fatherhood and family life. His videos, which are funny. I mean, we're going to talk about that. Feature everything from sketches to crazy DIY projects that intimidate me, and even heartfelt thoughts about the joys and challenges of fatherhood. Taylor is also the host of Super Dad, a DIY, that's always so hard to say, show on the Magnolia Network, where Taylor helps out other dads create amazing backyard projects for their kids. He also had a book come out called A Dad's Guide to Baby Size, What to Expect and How to Prep for Dads to Be. 6 million social followers. Jeez, is that a cult? At what point is it a cult? Do you call it a cult?
I think only when you start asking them if you can, sleep with their wives. That's when it becomes a cult.
Yeah.
Wife sharing is the beginning.
It starts with robes, though. Robes come first.
Hey, welcome.
Everyone grab their robe.
Kool-Aid is over on this side, and the burning pile of books is over here.
Right? Yeah, just make your way through the middle of them. And then your wife Heidi, which she's in some of the videos, and you have your 3 kids. So we're so happy to have you. As John said, this is really fun because again, this is like the dad space is where you are rocking and rolling. And so we're thrilled. So thanks for being on.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas.
So we're gonna sing a quick song real quick.
Please do. What people don't know is that I came on to this recording before they started recording. Came onto this Zoom call, and they just both picked up guitars and started serenading me with.
It's what we do. We want you to be comfortable, but also slightly intimidated.
Oh, we could sense that you were uncomfortable, and so we leaned in even harder.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So this, I think maybe like the first like shot off the. Where was it going with that? Shot off the block. What was that supposed to be?
Shot off the bow. Is that the phrase?
Shot across.
Shot across the bow.
It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, let's reschedule.
Yet, in respect, Taylor might have gained has already been lost in the first. So tell me this, because we're gonna do a little backtracking too. But how did how did the whole thing sort of take off? And was it on purpose? That's always my favorite question. Like,
from a very young age, so it all started when
we're really going back. Here we go.
My mom. No, but my parents always said that they knew that I was going to be a performer. Like when I was 4, I would like stand on the ottoman with a plastic guitar and sing Billy Ray Cyrus songs.
Who didn't do that?
I mean, the one song. Let's be honest.
I was going to say "Achy Breaky," and then what was next?
Yeah, then I would do another version of that.
Yeah, change keys.
No, but so it kind of started because I spent 10 years in Los Angeles, and I was trying to make it as an actor. I had some success there. And then when Heidi got pregnant with our first kid, I was like, all right, I might not be able to stay in this expensive city, supporting a family. So I'm going to start my own, YouTube channel, which I'd started a few YouTube channels before that, but none of them had like a good intention. There was no genre. It was just comedy, which there's so many pages out there doing that, So I'm like, I want to do one about fatherhood because I saw a lot of like moms out there like killing it, making mom content,
We call it mom tent.
Mom tent, yeah. But there was no dad content out there, So I was a part of that like beginning of that first wave. But anyway, I took like a full year of making videos. I made 50 videos the first year.
Holy cow.
And at the end of it, like our biggest platform is Facebook. And at the end of that first year, I had like 2,000 followers on Facebook. It was still nothing. But that second year, to answer your question, is when things started to take off. Was it planned? Of course it was planned. It was planned from the first video. It took 60 videos before it took off.
So how did it take off? I mean, what was the reason why? Was it a video that just happened to catch or something?
It was a pretty spectacular video. But all of them are supposed to be, but like you sort of start, the longer you do it, the more you figure out what works and what works for you.
Right.
What works for me is going to be different than what works for somebody else potentially. But it's all about relatability and like, there's like a formula I use. It's like, there's 3 things that make a video good, right? It's like shareability, right? Which is also relatability. Relatability, shareability.
Yeah.
Will somebody look at this and go like, oh my gosh, that's my life, or oh my gosh, I need to share this with so-and-so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's funny, right? Which is great. Like, is it clever? Does it have a good turn to it? Right. That on its own will never get you anywhere. And then the third one is wow factor. Does it have wow factor? Is this build something that no one's ever seen before? If you have all 3 of those things, then that's what I found. If you have all 3 of those things, you got a chance.
You basically just told me in 3 steps why mine never wored. So I appreciate
There you go. There you go.
It's interesting though that you say like funny on its own is not going to get you anywhere. Why do you think that is? You think there's just because there's so much funny out there?
there's so much funny out there. You just watch yourself next time you're scrolling. I find myself flipping. I flip past I'm really into wake surfing, and I flip past this video as a wake surfing video because it had an intro. It was like cool, like drone shots of the boat and stuff. And I caught myself. I was like, why did I just swipe past that? I'm like, oh, because I just want to see somebody surfing. I don't need to see a drone shot of the boat. And it's a cool shot, but the reality is those are so like everyone's seen that
right
now.
Yeah, this is the equivalent in the music world of "Don't bore us, get to the chorus."
Yeah,
exactly. There's and now like everyone gets bored so quickly because there's so much out there. It takes a lot more. I'm certain glad I started 6 years ago.
Yeah,
right now, because today it takes a lot more to stand out.
Yeah.
When you started 6 years ago, did it feel like, I'm trying to put myself back there 6 years ago? Of course, I'm pushing 40, so I'm like 6 years ago feels like 10 minutes ago. But did it feel like lots of people are doing this? This is viable. I can do this, or did it feel like I'm the weirdo doing like the videos, and none of my friends get it?
Well, I was in Los Angeles, so everybody gets it.
There you go. Yeah.
That's the cool thing about, as much as hard as a city like Los Angeles is, it's extremely creative. So everyone's chasing their dreams. Everyone's trying to do something. Everyone's super supportive of that because they're all trying to do it.
Yeah.
No one wants to say no one wants to say the truth, which is 98% of us aren't going to make it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to say that out loud, and nobody does because it's like a respect thing. Like, we're all just keep grinding,
So I'm so fascinated. Tell us about LA. Like what that decade you spent there. What got you there? Sort of anything you learned while you were there, and I mean, do you miss it at all? Is there any all those things?
It's interesting. Like, so I'm originally from South Dakota, like rural South Dakota,
which I want to get back to.
Yeah, where are you guys at?
We're in Nashville.
Yeah. Nashville. Okay, cool. I was just out there. Also a very cool city. Like, I felt the creative energy in the very little amount of time that I was there. I was like running into all kinds of people and was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. It felt LA in that way. No, if I'm from rural South Dakota, like a town of 800 people.
Oh, wow.
Howard, South Dakota. And I grew up outside of that. So outside of that town.
Not even the big city.
Yeah. But then I went to college, and there's a program through my college that allowed me to basically study abroad. But abroad was just Los Angeles, which,
how small is the college?
Like most people,
we have a couple
just go to North Dakota.
Abroad.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Study abroad, you can go to Fargo, and if you're real crazy, LA. Okay.
Yeah. No, but it's like a small Christian college, and they have this like program where you can like go study film for one semester and get 16 electives, So that was really the gateway, because it allows people from like a middle of America to like go to the big city, which is just scary and crazy, and what is that, and go there and like get your feet wet in like a safe environment where you have like housing and schedule and stuff, and they give you an internship. And so then after I did that, I moved out the next year, and there was like 30 of my classmates had stayed there. So then I already had a community.
Oh, wow.
I had people that I could get an apartment with, and so that's how that was the gateway for me, I guess.
With the dream being acting or writing, or was it sort of a combo of all those things?
Well, I kind of never knew what I wanted to do, because I like to edit, I like to direct, I like to write, I like to act. But then when I got to LA, they were like, you can't do everything. You have to pick one thing.
Wow. Wow.
That's what they tell you, which is true to a certain extent, because if, you can't get a job as an editor and still be able to audition. So I was like, all right, I'll be an actor, but then, continue to make my own videos and short films and stuff on the side. And because the reality is like, sometimes you have auditions, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're getting work, sometimes you're not. So you got to kind of, do whatever you can to stay creative. And
so is this satiating all of that dream?
Yeah.
Yes. 100. Oh yeah. So in terms of like, do I miss it? No.
Yeah.
I'm so happy in Colorado. I'm so
Definitive.
happy here. It's like it's so great for the children.
Yeah.
They have so much more space. We have a neighborhood that they just literally run free in,
Oh, that's
with
great.
like 15 other little kids that they all play with. It's just so much easier than being in the big city. The big city is a great place to live in your 20s, but when you got kids, it's just difficult,
So
Right.
literally, like Heidi getting pregnant was like, that's okay. Time to. Did y'all both feel that way? Was that kind of like a simpatico on that?
We didn't leave when she got pregnant. We
Oh, okay.
stayed there for another 3 years or
Oh,
so.
okay.
It was like her getting pregnant was just me being like, this may not last. I want to start my own thing. And then that, Dude Dad started to grow in a way that like, I was starting to get some small brand deals and stuff. And for me, the switch happened when it was like I was getting auditions for like commercials and stuff. And I had to make that choice of like, okay, do I spend 45 minutes in the car
Right.
to drive to Santa Monica to audition for this thing that I might get?
Mhm.
Or do I stay home and work on this brand deal and know I'm going to make money?
Yeah.
So I started missing a lot of auditions and canceling a lot of auditions until finally my commercial rep dropped me, and I was like cool with it. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. And when that happened, it was like, we're on to the next thing,
Yeah.
But that would have been so hard for me to do otherwise, like to have just left my, dream. But essentially, I took my dream and created a new mold for it,
Yeah.
so I can do it outside of the bounds of Hollywood.
Yeah.
So real quick, I just want to, because I grew up in Indiana.
Yes.
And everything is relative. Like I would say I grew up in rural Indiana, but there's more rural places who would look at my town of Anderson and be like, that's not rural. But anyway, my high school was surrounded by cornfields. It's rural. And so I feel like there's probably some overlap there. I look at South Dakota probably the way that like most people look at Indiana, where they're like, I've never been there. I don't know anything about it other than like lots of cornfields. Unless you're from like Western Ohio, you don't really, you don't know what Indiana is. But I'm curious, just quickly, like what your upbringing was like in that tiny town, and especially the sort of like bug of like performing and leaning toward the arts and all that kind of stuff. Like how was that like received by the family and all that kind of stuff?
My family's always been super supportive. I think growing up in a rural area sort of forced us to create our own fun, create our own adventures. Like me and my brother got really into BMX, and we couldn't, the nearest skate park was like an hour away. So we just built our own ramps. And by the time,
an hour away by car, 8 hours by BMX bike.
Exactly, with that one gear.
Oh man!
Now, did you have the what was it? The dyno? Is that a bike?
I think my brother had a dyno for a bit. I had a Schwinn, and then I switched to Haro.
Yeah, okay,
dude, you were hardcore if you were Haro.
Yep. Yeah,
I remember my cousin had a Diamondback. Like before, now they're kind of common, but like in the late '80s, man, Diamondback. I mean, I remember getting there and being like,
"No, those are sweet."
Hit this, like, and
especially if it had Megs.
Oh, dude, it had Megs. I got gifted their old Schwinn with Megs, and I was like, I rode that thing around town like it was like a Jaguar. I was like, what's up? Everybody's like, dang, look at those yellow Megs.
Did it have the cool seat post that like went up and went back?
No, see, that was reserved for people who could like do ramps or like could actually not fall off their bike trying to go up a hill, which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, they don't just give those to anybody.
I was more of a skateboard guy, and we don't have to get into that. But I will tell you what's funny, and it may have been the same with you, because I grew up in an 8,000 person town in Mississippi. But what was funny is there was no culture for skateboarding or bikes, which I imagine is very similar to you.
100%.
And so, I'm 44 now, so I grew up kind of like my sweet spot for that was kind of late 80s, early 90s. And all we had was like Gleam in the Cube, if you remember that movie with Christian Slater, which was a skateboard movie. Tony Hawk was in it, which was like watching that was like literally like, what is happening? Because it was like all the dudes were like in the background. Like they had all the, like the Bones Brigade guys were in the movie, but they didn't have acting parts,
Yeah.
So it was, you knew who they were, and you're like, oh my God, dude, that's Christian Hosoi, and whoever. And then the bike version was a movie called Rad, and it was so funny because that's all we had. So there was no, there was like 5 of my friends who skated or did bikes, and we would have to build ramps, and our parents and grandparents just built ramps for us. But like, I didn't even know what a skate park was. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of,
exactly.
And it was really just transportation. Like, we would do ramps and then skate around. There was no like, you try to ollie, but nobody was doing like rail slides or drop-ins. We were like, that's like, we're too poor. So I don't know what's happening, but we can't do that. But let me tell you, we will ramp off a bike ramp like a trail, which on skateboard is the dumbest and most terrifying thing. Because just like a bike, you're just hauling toward it and you're flying off, praying to God. Your skateboard
just a launch ramp to flat.
Yes.
Oh,
that was what we did in Mississippi because that's all you knew. But in small towns, when you're into something like that, you really do have to be creative because there's no culture for it,
Well, and I think that's I value my upbringing because of that, because like we were forced to just figure it out, So like there was only 4 of us that rode BMX, me, my brother, and my 2 cousins. That was it. But we had, by the time I was in high school, we had, and my neighbor Luke too, because there's one other place. So we had built a bowl, a 40-foot by 40-foot bowl with like a drop in, a box jump, and then we had a spine section out of that. So we had this enormous,
did y'all build that?
Yeah.
So how are you guys building this? Are you leading the charge on this? Is this when you realize that you have a knack for like this creative, handy side?
My brother and I in high school worked for a local carpenter. So we learned construct. That's where I learned all my construction skills. But then aside from our place, both of my cousins had lofts, like the hay loft in the barn.
Oh yeah.
So
like literally
you're halfway there.
It was like one of the barns was like ready to fall over, but we had ramps up there, that we were riding. And then the other barn, much nicer barn, there was hogs below us. It was like a hog barn, like with like active hogs in it. And then above
active hogs is a great
above that was our skate ramp.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Dave.
John.
Dave.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I do have more to say, actually.
Okay. I'd love to know what
I actually have a confession.
Okay. You and Usher both.
There we go.
Throwback joke.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. Let me guess what that is if I'm thinking about it. You are addicted to bridges with minor third key changes.
Yeah. And?
Creating haikus from Richard Marx's
lyrics. Yeah, you know me so well.
Gosh.
But also, I'm addicted to being healthy, Dave. And that's where Athletic Greens AG1 comes in.
Okay.
I started taking Athletic Greens because, as you know, I had a habit of opening the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting out some lettuce, just some dry lettuce, Dave, and I would take a handful of it and shove it in my mouth. Why would I do this?
You were the mayor of Munchtown on that
I was
stuff.
the mayor of Munchtown, and it wasn't enjoyable. I didn't like my job.
No, you wanted to quit.
I don't have to do that anymore with Athletic Greens.
And can I say this? I've been right here waiting.
Come on.
For something exactly like Athletic Greens.
Well, look, with just one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens, Dave. Adaptogens.
Yep.
That helps you start your day right.
After I take my morning AG1, as we call it in the biz, I'm so satisfied. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free.
All you need to do is wait for the sunrise, Dave. You get up a couple hours. I do it every day.
Yeah, you do.
2-3 hours before, just wait for the sunrise. And then AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits.
Yeah.
It's one thing you can do every day to take great care of yourself.
Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
Now, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You can go 5 different places, or you can go to the same place 5 times. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/dadville.
Oh, you got me in the giggles. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/dadville to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
And so that was kind of the genesis. I mean, because you do these incredible DIY projects.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where, one, I guess, with the carpenter, but also you guys are in there doing that yourself and learning on the spot. Like, oh, this is how you... Because there's so much, like, those things are intense to build. Like, if you're doing any curvature, you know what I mean? Like, we would just, like, flat ramp. You're just, like, put the board on there, nail it to...
I mean, once you learn the concept of how to do it, it's not rocket science or anything, but we just also been around that. My dad sells construction equipment, so he always had plenty of tools around for us. And then after we started working with the carpenter, we just knew how to use tools. So it just made it that much easier for us to do it. Like our first ramps were pretty terrible because we had no money and everything. We would literally me and my brother and my cousins would help our uncles tear down old barns just so we could get the wood.
Dude.
We would take the wood. So then the only lumber that we were buying was the plywood because you needed good, clean plywood.
Yeah, right.
Everything else was barnwood.
Right. Did y'all, like, this was a big deal to us. We would go to Jackson, Mississippi for this, but, like, I remember going to, like, the skate or bicycle shops, and it was like Disney World because you had to drive an hour to get there. Walk in, it was like they had all the gear and the skateboards, and like you're like, oh my god,
yeah, this is before Amazon. So,
dude, and it was like guys would be out. I'll never forget. We went to one in Jackson, went down, and there's a dude outside doing like a foot ollie, and I was like, I'm gonna get his autograph. Like I'd never seen a kid, and he's just out there like smoking, 16 and smoking and like doing ollies. I was like, oh my god, he's the coolest guy I've ever seen in my life. Are you Tony Hawk?
So what kind of injuries are we talking here? Like, how often are we going to the ER?
The first day, I only I broke my arm once jumping my bike into water.
Into water?
Yeah, we had the milk jug on the handlebars, and then I did a no-hander, and the bike fell underneath me, and I landed on top of it. Oh. That was the only big injury I had as a kid. I kept riding bike as an adult, and I got 2 concussions as a dad.
Oh gosh!
But I kept each time it happened, I would go out and buy a better helmet.
Oh yeah. Were your kids? I'm curious. Were your kids around when those happened?
No.
Okay.
No. But yeah, my son goes to the bike park with me now. Actually, they both do. But
that's cool.
That I had a one wheel for a while, and during the pandemic, we were out with John and his family at this park, like week 4 of the pandemic, and it just kind of short circuited, and I was going up a hill, and it got recalibrated thinking it was straight, so it accelerated and it threw me off, and I landed on my elbow and broke my elbow. I didn't know it at the time, but Luca, John's oldest, and my girl in the middle, who are close to the same age, were right behind me. And my girl, because she just saw it, and I popped up and I was like, be cool. It hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. And I had to I'm cool. And she was sobbing because she saw the whole thing. And I was thinking, if your kids had seen you with those, that's just those are some, when you see your dad, your parent get hurt as a kid, that's like a pretty
There's
traumatic
something jarring
moment.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just injuries as a dad, whether it's you or your kid, is like this new, new dynamic to figure out. My daughter, we actually had made a ramp in the front yard, and they were just it was like boards laying on a thing. But they were jumping on it like a teeter-totter, and my daughter kind of bounced off of it and fell, and she had this giant chapstick, and the lid was on the ground, and she smashed her face into the lid of this chapstick, and it basically cut her eyebrow. But she started crying. I picked her up, but you could see a deep gash, and it was one of those moments of thinking she's gonna need stitches. So it was that scary, okay,
yeah.
But in that moment, whatever in me was act really calm. Otherwise it's gonna freak her out. You know. So just having that instinct to just be all right, you gotta be really calm or you're gonna scare your child, because she's already scared. So you have to be the stable person here that she can attach to and know it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have this be our sort of jump off point into your book, a dude's guide to baby size, because I going through your book, I wrote down a couple bullet point topics, half of which I loved because my kids are 7 and 9 now. So there's so many things that you talk about in there that I'm like, oh, that's right. I forgot about that, But this topic here, I wrote down, what did I write down? I forget now. But like danger. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about kids and freedom/danger/responsibility. Like this is a topic that I'm becoming curious about with other parents. And it's sort of multifaceted. It's like kind of what we're talking about right now, like kids in the backyard, potentially getting hurt, doing stuff that might injure them. But also beyond that, sort of, I've heard of how integral it is and important it is for your kids to feel like they are kind of doing something dangerous, whether it be jumping off of something or like going around the block without mom and dad, that kind of thing. Like it's really important developmentally for the kids. And we're at the point right now where school just started and we're going to let our daughters at some point like walk home from school without us, which is it terrifies me.
The school is about 25 miles away. Just
so, we'll see them just before bedtime. But I'm curious your thoughts on all of that.
That's from the bicycle helmet chapter, right?
It probably is. Yes.
Yeah. So for those
right.
that don't know, the book is called The Dude's Guide to Baby Size, and it basically it's a pregnancy book for men, but it goes beyond pregnancy. But it basically compares your unborn child to objects that men would know. So instead of vegetables that they always use objects that men would know. Because the reality is, I don't know how big a stalk of broccoli is, and also what the hell's a kumquat,
Yes.
So I walked you through pregnancy using objects that men would know, like a 10-millimeter socket, a tape measure, a bicycle helmet, things like that.
Yeah.
So, and then it uses that object as a jumping off point to talk about a lesson that I've learned about fatherhood, not just pregnancy, but fatherhood in general. So the bicycle helmet, is about that might've been about which type of dad you're going to be. But anyway, whether you're going to be like the helicopter dad or the lawnmower dad or the free range dad, what's what's that guy's name? Jordan Peterson quote.
Oh, yeah.
Let your kids do dangerous things safely, or not safely, dangerous things carefully. Yeah. I mean, for me, and I think that comes full circle with the BMX stuff is like that confidence that you get and that self-esteem builder you get by doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, and then conquering it, what that does to a kid's self-esteem, or even as an adult, what that does to your self-esteem when you go like, I'm going to build a deck. I've never built one before. I'm going to try to build a deck. And then you're like, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. And you start doing a little research and you go, wait, I could do this, and then you build a deck, the same thing with the little kid. I think that's just such a huge part of their development of like letting them challenge themselves and go for it. My son is very calculated. I'm not worried about him trying things at all because he's very calculated and he's got great balance and he's very like athletic in that nature that like if he's going to jump from one rock to the next, he's probably going to make it. If he's not going to make it, he's probably not going to try.
Yeah.
He kind of knows his limits, but he'll still send it. My daughter, on the other hand, she wears her shoes on the wrong feet probably 75% of the time. And she trips a lot. So like she's a little bit more, but she's also trying to keep up with her older brother. So she's probably more advanced than I think she is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that is, to your point about the dangerous stuff. It's interesting knowing how each kid's personality is going to factor into that thing. Because as you said with your son, it's not going to be about like, you would think sort of stereotypical boy, because my oldest is very much like yours, very calculated. He's not, so I'm not walking around going like, be careful, watch out, move back. Like he's already like, I got that sussed. My youngest son is very much the opposite of that. Like he's the one where kind of like, that's sharp, and maybe don't push it toward your sister's stomach.
And it's on fire, so maybe.
And it's on fire.
Yeah.
So it is interesting because to your point, you wish you could just sort of be like, all right, kids, this is the way we roll. But like the minute that I'm not worried about one of them, the other is like, going to grab a snake, and you're like, okay, maybe that's not the greatest,
Yeah, it's an internal struggle for sure, because you want them to like challenge themselves and go for it, but also just statistically, one of them's going to break a bone at some point.
Yes,
it's
totally
terrifying to think of like something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's going to be terrifying, as a parent. So for that reason, you want to be more protective, but I also like really try to live my life not in fear of things,
Yeah.
because I think you miss out on too much life if you worry about what could happen,
Yeah. But that's something as a parent that I didn't see coming. That is like, I mean, it's like conceptually, I agree with all of it. And I'm like, yes, we got to do that. We got to let them,
fall out of trees.
You got to let them do it. But
that was my dad's only piece of advice he ever gives people as a parent, and say, you got to let them fall out of trees. And we all fell out of trees.
Hey, can you tell me the size of the tree, just real quick?
He should have been more specific. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it was a cottonwood.
Like, bro, these these sequoias, maybe a little ambitious here, Dad. Maybe a little. One of the other things, John and I were laughing about this before, which I thought is so great, is just you're talking about dad style, like this whole dilemma. So John and I just went on a trip. So my wife just turned 40, and we went on a trip to Mexico with 5 of our really close friends who are couples, so no kids. And I kept laughing to myself because the girls, like all the moms, just look so cute. Like it just looked like a anthropology ad, and we're in this beautiful Mexican town called San Miguel. So it literally looks like a photo shoot. Like every picture of the wives, you're just like, everybody's so pretty and cute. And then like, and John always looks cool because John is just sort of innately cool. Another of our friends, Matt Lehman, he's a graphic designer. He just always looks cool. And every picture I saw myself, I thought, I've just given up, haven't I? I've just thrown in the towel.
Well, and I want to say everything. My wife and I have gone on 2 trips this summer. Each trip, my wife has gone shopping for me for the trip.
So for the trip.
Anything that I'm wearing is what Amy brought home.
Yeah, she's like, wear this. Yeah.
And I will say the things that she brings home, I know they're cool, and I trust her, right? And they are like current style. And this is my relationship with current style always, is I'm always like, I don't want to wear that. I don't like that. But it's cool. And this is my question with dad style, is like, what do you do at that crossroads? Do you quote unquote give up? Because I'm kind of on team give up now. I'm like,
wait,
you're
saying you want to start wearing cargo pants and New Balance sneakers and stuff?
No, I'm saying
the Monarchs.
I'm saying the last point that I was where I adopted what's cool. Can we just stay there?
Yeah.
Can I stay in 2019 or whatever it is?
Yeah.
I find myself doing that because I wear skinny jeans. I like skinny jeans. You get a good pair with good stretch, right? I'm a millennial. That's who I am, right? But I know they're going out of style,
right?
And everything's going to go baggy again, and I'm not going to want to go baggy. Yeah. So I'm going to be the guy I'm going to be the old fart in the skinny jeans. But there's a chapter in the book, I believe. Yeah, here it is. Chapter number 15. Your baby is now the size of a beer can. Okay.
Yep.
So this whole chapter is about the man makeover.
Yep. Okay. Yes. So I have this earmarked in the book. Yes.
Talking about dads sort of letting themselves go, and how you shouldn't just let yourself go.
Yeah.
Like you'll feel better, your wife will feel better. So there's like a lot of
I feel like this is a whole to your point about beer cans. This is a whole this is you kind of open a can here, because here are my dilemmas with this whole thing. One, living in Nashville, it changes the whole your starting point, because everybody here is cool. It's like LA. I mean, like, you're all of my everybody's in great shape. Like most of my dad friends are in maybe the best shape of their life in their 30s and 40s. They got their. It's like, if it's not cool, it's relatively cool. Nobody's walking around and walking in and everybody's like, oh my God, he's in a tracksuit. He's in a tracksuit from 1989. but I think that's a dilemma because you're kind of like, okay, am I trying to keep up with everybody? But I cannot, my lizard man brain cannot get over utilitarianism. Like it is a struggle of mine because I'm like when we were in Mexico, it was beautiful. It's probably 75 every day. We'd leave the place because we walked everywhere in this little town. We'd leave and it'd be like, kind of low 60s, which is kind of chilly. But I'm never more dude than when I'm like, yeah, but we're going to add 10 degrees to this. And sure, that sweatshirt is going to feel great for about 5 minutes until your heart rate gets up, Dave. And then what are you going to do with the sweatshirt? What are you going to do with that? Like you got to then you're going to look like, tied around or like your neck. And you look like some guy just got done with polo. You're like, and so it is one of my favorite things about the difference in me and my wife. And I feel like kind of generally men and women is like, I need to know that what I'm doing is going to it's going to make sense and it has a purpose. And I think, and even some of my guy friends here in Nashville are just really cool. They're like, bro, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your feet hurt. Those boots look amazing. And every picture you take, you're just killing it. Or like, your long sleeve shirt, man, it just
you gotta think of
trend.
The post-trip Instagram.
Yeah.
I feel like you're really putting yourself in a box because I don't see it as like look fashionable or be comfortable. I think there's some crossover.
Tell me about the brand that does it and I will invest in them. And
they will buy 30 of whatever you say.
I like, I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but Built shirts.
Oh, tell me more.
I have like a long torso. And so I could never find a t-shirt that would fit me, like that'd be feel form fitting, but I wouldn't lift my arms up and my belly would show. BYLT, Built.
Look at that. They're not even a sponsor and they're going to get so many hits.
Right what's so funny is I have always, one of the things that I'm insecure about, I have a short torso. It's the most random thing. And I'll tell people, I'm like, yeah, my torso's so short. Look at that guy. His torso's so long.
In the medical field, it's short so, just so you know. Sir, I'm sorry. I don't have a short torso, but I have a paunch.
Paunch.
Just a nice little beer.
PAUNCH.
The fitted t-shirt will make that can help with that as well, though.
Well, it gets snug down there. It gets snug, and then you start moving around, and it's just a whole party's happening right above your belt. Just a little drum solo all the time, just jiggling around down there. But it is, I mean, like to your point, John and I, again, were just laughing about this, like this idea that, where is the line between moms who are just, and your wife who looks cute and she's really, I really, this is a dilemma. And I had this moment in Mexico where I was like, oh my gosh, am I like depriving my sweet, beautiful wife? Because it's not like I'm not trying. Like, she would tell me like, don't wear that. You look terrible. And, it's not that. But, she's just cute. She's just cute a lot. She's just cute. That's the way it goes, like she cares. So she's kind of making sure she's cute. And because, and then I just feel like if like you put a lie detector test on her and it was like sat down, have you lost all of your attraction for your husband because he just doesn't care? And she's like,
well, it's not that bad.
Can we talk about this for a second? No, but I do. I like comedically in some ways, but I do wonder, like, how many.
Get your wife in. Let's talk to her. I think we need to hash this out.
We do.
Let's hit pause on this, Dave. Where is this coming from?
Do you find him sexually attractive right now?
Right now, but it is tricky because I will say, part of being a dad, part of what I love about being a dad, is sort of the permission to let go of a lot of stuff that we carry around in our single lives, like you walk into a restaurant or I was about to say club, but I was like, what club? What are you talking about? You walk into a scene, a party or something like that, where 10 years ago, maybe I would be like, did I wear the right thing? Like, who should I talk to? Now I'm like, I got 2 kids at home. I don't care. I don't care.
For sure. I mean, I think the most attractive thing is confidence.
Oh, look at this.
And but I think to be your point, chapter number 30, your baby is now the size of a garbage disposal.
What a wonderful phrase.
So great.
So, this whole chapter is basically about like, look, you're about to be a dad. You're about to be responsible for another human being. You do not have time to sweat the small stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't have time to worry about whether or not you look like that you wore the right clothes when you walk into whatever restaurant. Like, it doesn't matter. it never mattered, but now you like can let go of that and say, I don't care.
Well, and
Exactly.
too, don't you? I mean, to your point, like, don't you kind of wonder, like, let's say you see a couple walk in, and they're of the age, that, you know, if they're on a date, you're kind of assuming they probably have some kids at home. You know, like you can tell, like, this couple has been together, and like the guy just looks amazing. I'm always like, I don't know about this guy. I do not know about this guy.
I don't trust
Do you know what
him.
I'm saying?
I don't trust.
Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a balance because I still want to try. Like, I go to the gym 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I do it for me, but I also like, you know, like I want to try my best to like, you know, keep this spark alive in my marriage and everything. But also, it's like an energy thing. Like, if you start to feel sluggish in the afternoon, well, what's your diet look like? What's your exercise look like?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, it's
because
connected to
the reality
everything.
is that hour that you spend working out in the morning might make you a lot more productive through the rest of the day, where you can like, you're like, oh, I don't have time to do that because I've got this, this, and this to do. But well, you might be a lot more productive through the rest of the day if you have that energy.
True.
If you're not working out, if you're not, you know, eating properly, you might be in worse. You might have worse time than if you spent that hour actually exercising.
Yeah,
you know?
we were, John and I were talking about this the other day, like this idea that the empty nest, like how terrifying it is to think that if you haven't sort of gotten ready for that, like if you haven't, to your point, if you have these disciplines in your life, health, and you know, just kind of taking care of yourself, investing in your marriage, all these things, that, you know, someday the kids, for most families, the kids are going to be gone at some point, right? Like they're going to move out and go to college and then live where they're going to live. And you know, I'm like, I just don't want to wake up that morning and kind of think like, oh boy, I have to sort of reorient myself to my wife and our life as married people who are now, you know, just the two of us again. And you hope that sort of your point of having these disciplines of taking care, you know, that you're not suddenly like, I should probably shed 75 pounds and start buying things that match, you know.
Well,
and
that's like the divorce, you know, it's like a lot of people get divorced at like 5 years. Like if you make it through 5 years, then you're good. But then the next point where a lot of people get divorced is that 18 years when the kids leave the house.
You know,
the kids are out. They were staying together for the kids. Kids are gone. Now they don't know each other anymore because they haven't been connecting. They were just, everything's been about the kids the whole time.
Right.
You know?
I remember my freshman year of college, around like, you know, the end of that first semester, or early second semester, there being kind of a wave of all these new friends that I met whose parents were they just told them they were getting a divorce. It's so true. Yeah.
Oh, that stinks.
That's sad. Can I pick us up with pick us up from that sadness with talking about something that I don't know what could be more important. If there's anything more important than kids, it's and you can quote me on this, coffee. Let's talk about coffee for a minute.
Okay.
Because I was reading about your morning kind of routine, and I want you to know I sensed a little guilt there, and I want to encourage you. I feel you on that.
That's what
right.
We do
You were talking about how you're like, I could make this at home, but I go out and I spend $5 a day. Drop off was a little rough, so I deserve this. I'm gonna go spend $5 on a coffee. I've had times in my life where I'm like, sort of start to do the math on an annual level and be like, I think we're spending thousands of dollars on coffee every year.
For sure you are.
And then I'm like, I don't care. It's too important to me. But the reason why I bring it up,
how you know you feel
it. But I bring it up because you segued it. You know, you talked about the barista and like them making your coffee as compared to like, anyway, you segued it much better than how I'm doing it right now into parent comparing and and how you're going to compare yourself to other parents. And it's comparenting. Thank you, Dave.
What that chapter is about is like seeing other people parent, or like, you know how you get self-conscious when you're like around other parents and you have to like handle some parenting issue in front of other parents, or you see them doing something and you like feel like you're like, oh, they know what they're doing, you know.
Can I tell you what is the most triggering for me right now is when a parent, you're over at someone's house and they say something to the effect of like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Like the other day, they were on their screens it was over 10 minutes. pushing 15. And you're like, right. No, I know. Yeah.
Jeez,
Once
10
they hit that
minutes.
10-minute mark, you shut it
Oof,
down.
crazy
Yeah,
people.
wow.
Anyway,
Well,
continue.
forget about college for them. Yeah, but the reality is that like we don't know that they're any better at this than we are. You know,
Yeah.
like we just make that own thought up in our head the same way that when I go to Starbucks, I'm like, well, the coffee tastes better because obviously that barista knows what they're doing. Here's the thing. I worked at Starbucks for like a year in my 20s in Los Angeles. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, it's just a bunch of schlubs back there that might be like, their second week on the job. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that they actually know how to make it any better than us. If you put in the time and effort to like, because we got an espresso machine. So that's the thing is like figuring out how to make a good drink on there. Right.
Yeah.
When it really comes down to with making your espresso yourself at home or parenting is like, are you putting in the time, or are you just doing the same thing every single time? Like if I pull my shots the same way every single time and they don't taste quite right, like if I just keep doing it like that, then no, I'm not making the best cup of coffee I can. I'm not raising my kids the best way I can and approaching difficult situations with them the best way I can if I do the same thing every single time. But if I go, you know what, this isn't really working with this kid. It worked with the first kid, doesn't work with this one. Maybe I need to recalibrate how I do this, my approach, because each kid comes with a completely different set of rules, of like how you're going to get through to that kid and not like, not just like get them to act the way you want them to, but get them to want to act the way you want them to,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really good. One thing I was speaking of wives, the videos you do where you're, I can't tell you how much I related to when you're doing an impression of your wife and you did the whole like, I just can't wait for them to get back and it's been. You said summer's been gorgeous. We just had the best. It's gonna be so. And then you cut to her yelling at the bottom of the steps like, get in the car. The whole 8 months.
Everyone's had that moment.
Oh my gosh. So, the thing I always wonder is with accounts like yours, and, I do some stand up and I have jokes about my wife. I'm always like, have you ever done one of those? And she was like, hey, honey, just real quick. It's too far. It's just a little too far.
Yeah, we've found the line before. Yeah. But for the most part, she's really, her and I are both kind of open books, which makes what we do a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because nothing is really off limits. But there's been a couple of times where she's like, yeah, that was a little, maybe reel that back in a little bit.
Maybe a little hurtful.
Too close to home.
And honestly, like the time that it was the worst was when I did a video with Trey Kennedy, which is still, I think, a great video. And it did really well. It's called Wife School, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I learned in that was that like me and Trey's hilarious, first off.
Yeah.
But we have slightly different styles, So the angle that we kind of ended up with that video was a little bit more, it sort of like put women in a worse light than I would normally have. Where like normally my videos aren't necessarily putting them in a bad light. It's just sort of like shining on the reality of it. Right.
Yeah.
So normally it's just like, even stuff that might be embarrassing or something, it's like real things that everyone's really going through. Yeah. Versus like the Wife School one, it was like them teaching other women like how to be a wife, and like, so it was jokes like, let him wait in the car. Like, you're a queen. You need time to get ready. Just let him sit in the car as long as you need. It's fine. Things like that. But it kind of like made him seem like almost like they didn't care about their husbands at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
that's gotta be an interesting line to walk when some of your content that you're going to deal with on a somewhat consistent basis is about a marriage or is about, like a funny take on something your wife does. I would imagine that's got to be something that's communicated, or you're kind of going like, everything cool? Like, that's what we shot today. Is that funny? Or did I,
Well, and because it has to it's got to hit close to home for it to.
It does. Really, yeah, exactly. I mean, almost everything you see is I mean, with those wife be likes, a lot of it's stuff that's observed that my wife has actually done. Other things we sometimes pull in just like the generic sense of what a wife does.
Right.
But the best stuff is stuff that like she actually does, you know, which makes the videos so solid and so relatable because they're like pulling from the truth. But like,
I mean, the cut from her sitting, I mean, you and you're just, it's just Summer has been to just a direct cut of screaming up the stairs.
Like we're literally like living that right now.
Oh yeah, no, exactly the same here.
Home for a week. She was like, I want them to be home for 1 week because they were in summer camp and stuff. She's like, I'm pulling them out of camp. I want them home for 1 week before they go back to school. And then like, you know,
3 hours into the first
crazy week. Yeah. Because they're home. But like some of our, we do a series called Classic Spouse Fights.
Oh man.
But every single one of those fights are real fights that me and Heidi are still going through today because there are disagreements that we have on these certain topics of like, whose responsibility is it to check the pockets of the pants before they get washed, right? I would say whoever's doing the laundry should check the pockets before you put them in the machine. She would say you need to check your own pockets before they get in the laundry.
When should the pockets be checked?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
old.
You know, but like we've had, and that one, no one's ever gotten really that mad about, even though my wallet went through a couple times. I got a little mad then. But you know, like we've had certain fights that like were like heated, like a few days before we even shoot the video. But the way we approach that video, and I think the way we've kind of approached our marriage is we both like, we just talk about things. And we don't always come to an agreement. There's not always a resolution. It's more of just like, this is how I feel. That's how you feel. That's okay. We don't have to agree on everything to have a happy marriage. We just have to understand where each person's coming from. You know?
Right. One thing I was curious about, I mean, do you feel a pressure is, you know, internally, externally, in your marriage or with your kids because you have such a successful, you know, career around that? Do you like? Do you ever find yourself in public, or you can see like, and like your kids bothering you, and you kind of snap, and you're like, oh, end of career right there. I can't be dad.
Yeah, for sure. You know, because like it's because we live in Fort Collins, which isn't a very big town, so you know we get noticed pretty much everywhere we go now. So yeah, you have to like, you're very conscious that people are like watching you, and you have to like, and then you know, and it's happened a few times where like Heidi was like she was at Target. Let's just say it. She was at Target.
There it is.
And somebody wants to stop and chat, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
Until like our kid runs away, you know.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I'm so like, but you're trying to not be rude, but I'm like, I have to go get my kid right now. Like he just left, you know. You know, or like somebody like messaged Heidi one day and was like, hey, I just want to say I saw you in the Target checkout line. I thought that you handled Theo so well or whatever. And Heidi was like, he wouldn't.
Oh, wow.
He wasn't being bad. He needed to poop. Like he wasn't like acting out. He just had to go. He just needed to go to the bathroom, you know?
Yeah. That's got to be an interesting.
So yeah, like it's just, I guess, part of it, but
that is one of the things. We've had a couple people on that have big YouTube followings, and there's nothing that I just always like. We had Tyler from Dude Perfect on, and you know, those guys are, you know, massive, and like you have all these subscribers, but I'm like, I just, you know, I think because I'm the age I am, I forget that there are all these people watching on the computer, because I'm still old enough that I'm kind of like, TV is the main, you know, like you watch on TV, and it's like I can't imagine. I mean, and you know, I think in a funny way, John and I, because we have all these love songs, every now and then I'll kind of feel like, man, it'd be hysterical if somebody caught me and Annie fighting, you know, out at some restaurant, and they're like, oh, so you really, God did give you her.
So it's all
like,
you're not.
Yeah, it's all a lie. Or is that your mistress, Dave? Let me guess. I mean, you wouldn't treat your wife like that. So, you know, I'm always reminded, like talking to Tyler about that. We had another guy on that he and his family have a YouTube channel. I'm like, that has got to be an interesting sort of this generation struggle. Because obviously you're not calling somebody 20 years ago and going, I just need some advice of like what it's like to be a YouTube sensation and people are watching your family close, because like, what does that even mean? But it's got, you know, I'm fascinated by that idea. And too, just that the community around that's got to be really interesting because do you have people that kind of you can sit and relate to about that, or is that something you're just kind of out there?
Yes and no. Like I was lucky enough to kind of come up into this whole thing in the last, few years alongside of Charlie Barons and Miles, the You Betcha guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Penn and Kim were already a couple years into it. So Penn and Kim, anything parent related, I like go to them and be like, hey, how is it for your kids?
Wow.
Like that kind of questions, but just to handle that like dramatic lifestyle change, even of just like because like it bothers me when people say things like just never change, just don't change. But like, and I know what they're saying, and I appreciate that, and I want what they're saying, but at the same time, like when you're now getting like recognized in public every single day and getting treated differently, how does someone not change? You have to be so conscious of everything that you do and how you do it and how you operate, because like, it can change you, but you have to just be very mindful of that and very aware of what's happening. It's hard to even talk about because I know like some people might watch this and think something of me just by what I'm saying,
But it is your reality though,
Yeah.
Like we're like, it's changed the way I even see like some celebrities. Like I think I commented on like what's the Armchair podcast with Matt Shepard, because I love those guys. I think, I love that podcast and like comment on there. And then you'll see like people that will follow me will see that comment because it pops up in their feed. And then they'll say things like, oh, don't do anything with Dax and he's this, he's that, his wife is this, she's that. And it's just like, to me, like having like, gotten a taste of that world, I'm like, oh, that's scary because these people have never met them. Right. And they're basing their entire opinion off of them based on what they've read about them or what someone's told them about them.
And I think what you and your wife are choosing to show them.
Yeah.
You're just showing them a couple of colors of that sort of kaleidoscope of what your marriage is like and your family's like and what your personalities are like.
Yeah. Which is something else interesting. So then like with that, we try to make sure that we show the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So that people don't get this like, kaleidoscope effect of like who we are and think that we're just these perfect people. And like, so I try to talk about the struggles of fatherhood and how I've screwed up in my marriage and like put it all out there so that, that I'm more relatable that way because I'm real, rather than like, oh, I've got it all figured out because I don't,
And how do y'all think about it with your kids? That's something that I'm so fascinated with. Again, in 2022, we talked to another guy about this who has a big YouTube channel, like how that has his kids on there, because I think that is such an interesting space to me because it's like, what if one day they come to you and they're like, hey, Dad, I never wanted to be on there. And now I got to deal with all this stuff. Or they're like, man, that was so much fun. And now I have my own career from it. But it's like, it's such an interesting, and it's brand new territory. I mean, that you are, you guys are kind of Christopher Columbus discovering this new land where it's like, because nobody really knows what that's like. Nobody knows. And I'm just so fascinated with how you navigate that people, like that this is a great example that Heidi gets a message that says, hey, I saw you talking to Theo. Like, that's not normal. You know what I mean? It's not normal for someone to know the name of your kid, to be watching you from afar without you knowing it. And you have these kids who are just kind of along for the ride, which is really fun. But also could maybe have some interesting side effects later. And how do you navigate that?
One day at a time, we definitely have started and, like our like followers from years ago have noticed that we don't make content with our kids nearly as much as we used to.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason. But the other part is it's just a lot harder, like it's just a lot harder when you put the kids in the content to get the content made,
Right. Yeah.
And I don't want them to feel like daddy's always working, because that was like the really tough part about those types of videos is like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something really cool with my kids right now. this is good content.
Yeah,
Versus
right.
like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something really cool with my kids right now. Let me be present and do something cool with my kids.
Yeah.
Finding that balance is really tricky, because it's like people might look at the videos and be like, oh, he's doing a lot less stuff with his kids now. He's obviously not that into being a dad anymore,
Right.
But the reality is like, if there's less content with the kids, that's probably because I'm taking more time to actually be with the kids,
which I think is great, because you want to say to your kids, like, the payoff for hanging out with you is hanging out with you, and it's fine to have, my daughter and I did a little cooking show thing for a little while, and it was really fun, but also, you don't want to communicate to them that, like, hey, whenever you're doing something cool, you got to film it and put it out there.
Yeah. No, it's tricky, but I think the other, I think the one good thing with it is, like, by making this content and talking about fatherhood all the time, you start to create expectations for people of who you are, but then you also want to keep up with those expectations.
Yeah.
You go like, I want to make sure that my kids never see this and go, that's a lie.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
I want them to see it and be like, yeah, no, that's who my dad is.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing, they would never think it's BS.
Yep. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so first of all, thank you for your time, because again,
real quick, when does this come out?
It won't. Well, this is like a practice round.
Well, I've got big news, but I have to know when this comes out.
Oh, John, what, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks?
Okay, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a fourth baby.
I was gonna ask. Okay. Where? So
no, it's
so
more
what
like
chapter are you on right now?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's a great question, John.
I think we are currently. Heidi is pregnant. I believe we are like 7 weeks. So we are. Our baby is now the size of a Cheerio.
Aww.
Cute little honey
Those
nut
pesky little things that you find all over the back of your sedan.
Oh my gosh.
And under your
couch. Real question. Have you like looked back in the book and been like, what did I say for this section? Am I right? How am I feeling right now? Is it lining up to
yeah, I should probably start reading it.
I would just love it if you were like, I was right about that.
Dude, here's what you should do. Yeah. You should put out a second edition of this book, and it's the exact same book, but you just write in the margins.
Well, that's what I was thinking, because like now, as we're going through it again and I'm reading the book again, I'll be like, I should have put this in there. This is what this chapter needs,
I'm telling you, man, that's the move. Writing in the margins. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be a 50-50 revenue split. We can work that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
John is a great lawyer.
Write in the margins and then just print the chicken scratches along.
That's it.
Yeah. And
that's
John's going to want to be in videos, but he's handsome. So you'll see some views from that.
Well, I think what I might do is start a podcast where I like go through it chapter by chapter and just like add more to it that way. And I'm going to call it Fatherville.
There we go.
If you need a
theme song, what key are we in, Dave?
I'm not telling. There it is. You can just use this. Just loop it. It'll be great.
This has been the Dadville.
Okay, so we always end with 2 questions. And first of all, huge congrats. I mean,
yeah, man,
huge congrats. That's so
That's
exciting.
A whole new territory, right? 4 kids. Like, not a lot of people.
I don't know. You are.
You're beyond us now.
Yeah, you've moved past our expertise. I'm 3 and John's got 2, so we're like you're heading into new
child's play.
Side. Yeah, you're like, you guys
get serious.
You guys,
you doing this or not?
You're like, you guys quit when it got exciting. So the couple we end with a couple questions. So again, thanks so much for being on. Huge congrats on the book and everything that is happening and building things that I only dream of in my sweetest dreams, because I'm too scared to use nail guns. Okay. So first question is, what is the one thing you want your kids to know?
I mean, my instinct is, that I love them, but I think, let's go past that, because I think that's a given, and give you something more interesting. I want them to know they can do hard things.
Oh,
that's good.
I love that. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think I had a lot of people around me that pushed me to go for things that a lot of people couldn't do. I mean, even just moving to Los Angeles is a crazy thing, and trying to make it in an industry that is like virtually impossible to break into, but just having that tenacity to just go for it, but also like go for it in a way that doesn't make you end up on the street. Like Heidi used to work with homeless youth, and there was so many youth that were just out there going for it, but their version of going for it was, I will only take acting work. That's not realistic. You have to have it. You have to find that job and work 20 different jobs that allow you to pursue your dream.
You got to put that year in as a barista that doesn't know how to do coffee.
I did 1 year as a barista. I also laid traffic tubes for a while. I was an apartment manager for 5 years. That was a great gig for it.
Wow.
I built sets. I built, TV and film sets.
Wow.
Construction work.
They're like, hey, construction carpenter, we see you walking into the scene and you're doing great. You're playing a good. But we need you to just kind of stay off.
That was who's the dude that played Indiana Jones?
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford was a
That's exactly right. Yeah, before Star Wars and American Graffiti. Look at you, the new Harrison Ford.
All right. Okay, last question. What do you want your kids to say at your funeral?
Gonna make me cry.
Get in there. Come on, get in there.
I wanna be like my dad.
Oh, come on, man. Why'd you do that?
That's a great answer.
Jeez. Not dead. But other than dead, I want to be like my dad.
I also wish I was dead.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man, this was great.
Thank you.